We thought we'd come and check out Phoenix for a couple days. Got here last night, and it is hot.
It's so hot.
Feels like baking right now.
Yeah. Instant tan.
I just want to go in the car and with the air conditioning right now.
The fight to keep cool only getting tougher tonight as millions of folks from California to Florida continue to suffer from temps up to 30 degrees hotter than normal. And it's only June. I'm Morgan Chesky in for Gadi Schwartz tonight, and this is Stay Tuned Now. The first major heat wave of the year has some 86 million people all across the country feeling temperatures well above 90 degrees today. And in just the past 24 hours, we have seen new record highs in places like Las Vegas, hitting 111. Phoenix saw 113. Those are extreme temps, but nowhere close to California's Death Valley, which hit an absolutely brutal 122 degrees. Today, cities like Vegas, Tucson, and El Paso all seeing triple digits well above average for this time of year. And with temps like that, officials like the Phoenix Fire Department are reminding people not to hike in the heat, taking a page from the viral Man with the Signs social media trend. But heading into the weekend, the heat will ramp up in the southeast, especially in Florida, where it could feel as hot as 110 degrees. NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns will have more in the forecast ahead. But first, let's go to NBC News correspondent Liz Schwartz in Phoenix, Arizona tonight. Liz, I know you sat down with the Phoenix Fire Department captain about how they're using ice bags to help potential heat stroke victims, and we know response time absolutely critical here. So what's the process behind the treatment? And I'm curious, have they already been using this?
Yeah, well, Morgan, last summer this began as a pilot program, and now it's being implemented at every single fire station here in Phoenix. That's because last year, Maricopa County here in Phoenix had 645 heat-related deaths, a record number. And so what they're hoping is that this is going to really help mitigate it. Every single fire truck is going to have bags of ice and a body bag, and they are going to be able to immediately respond to someone suffering from a heat stroke, immerse them in that bag, cover them in ice, and they say that it can drastically lower a person's body temperature. Take a listen to what a fire captain had to tell me.
Sometimes we use 10, 15 bags of ice, and when we get to the hospital, that ice sometimes is completely melted. That's how hot some of these patients are. Last year, we had a patient at 112 degrees.
So they're telling me this could be the difference between life and death, Morgan.
Yeah, some stunning statistics there. And when you're topping triple digits, we know the physical toll is so much here, Liz, but we often forget about the economic impact during heat waves as well. What are you hearing in your area?
Yeah, that's a big issue for so many people, especially when we talk about last year here in Phoenix. There was 31 straight days, Morgan, with 110 degrees or higher. So you're talking about people basically cranking up their air conditioning 24/7. And I spoke to an extreme heat expert today, and she said people pay a lot of attention to the highs every day, like it was 113 degrees here yesterday. But look at the lows. It did not get below 87 degrees overnight here in Phoenix. And that means that you are using the air conditioning at all hours of the day to stay cool. I spoke to one young woman who talked about what that financial toll is for her. Here's what she said.
You kind of have to bite the bullet and cut down on other expenses because obviously the AC comes first. I'm scared that it'll continue like year on year. What if it just keeps getting worse and we get longer summers? At what point is it like not worth it to live here anymore? I don't know.
Now, last summer, she said that she decided to keep her thermostat, Morgan, at 83 degrees, sweltering 83 degrees, in order to keep the cost of her electricity bill low. She just invested $4,000 to have her home retrofitted to keep it a little bit cooler and maybe those costs down. But these are the types of things that people are doing right now. And if you're on a fixed income, we're talking to people, it's really tough. That is why there are cooling centers set up around Phoenix, including one that's open 24/7 right now, Morgan.
So tough to find relief anywhere there. Liz Schwartz reporting from Arizona. Liz, thanks so much. I want to bring in NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns. Bill, we've covered heat before, but this is looking like something that is truly hitting coast to coast. So I'm curious, what cities are seeing the hottest temps come tonight?
Yeah, overnight is what you're just mentioning with the heat stories. It's the overnight lows that really matter more than the daytime highs, because that's when people try to get their relief. Especially anyone who doesn't have air conditioning. But I mean, I can't imagine living in the Southwest without AC. Phoenix, 111 right now. So later on tonight, if they're lucky, maybe it drops just to 90, maybe 88 degrees. And it's very hot. Vegas, Palm Springs, El Paso, 100, San Angelo, 103. So we've been doing this day after day. And then from here, we kind of go in the opposite direction. All of these heat warnings will be dropped. We'll probably have some advisories that are issued as we go through the weekend, but it won't be as extensive. And the temperatures will drop. Like Sacramento, back to normal. Only 2 or 3 degrees warmer than normal over the weekend. Vegas, you drop to about 5 to 6 degrees warmer than normal. Phoenix, about 8 to 4. So that's bearable. That's kind of like typical for what you'd expect this time of year. But Saturday, as you mentioned, it's kind of more widespread. So we're even seeing down along the Gulf. It has been hot. It is staying hot. We don't have the heat warnings out there. I know Miami was under the heat advisory during the day today. But even in the Sunday, just not a lot of relief. Each and every day is warm. The Gulf of Mexico is boiling, so that's keeping the temperatures very warm all the way down. At night, all the way down towards the coast, there's very little relief. But the middle of next week, Morgan, that's when we have some relief. Temperatures drop into the upper 80s, the 90s. With it will come some rain too, which this time of year actually feels good.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that. But we know it's not just the heat in play here, Bill. Storms once again in the mix tonight for other parts of the country. So who is most at risk going into the weekend here?
Yeah, we don't have a lot of severe storms, but we are going to deal with areas of Nebraska, Kansas, a little bit of Oklahoma here. These areas are under severe thunderstorm watches. We're worried about big hailstorms, too. We've already seen a couple producing 2-inch size hail. So that's like, what we consider maybe like golf ball size. And these storms are starting to form in a line. These are going to dive down tonight somewhere from Omaha to Kansas City towards Topeka, towards Lincoln, possibly Hastings. Those are the areas of greatest risk. Also isolated severe storms to the south here. And this area of this orange color, this is the enhanced risk. This is where the storms are forming. You can kind of picture this is where we expect them to go, and with it could come wind gusts later tonight, even during the overnight hours, 60 to 80 miles per hour. So, Morgan, there will be the possibility of people losing power and having trees fall while they sleep, which can always be very dangerous.
It was yet another emotional day of testimony in the Hunter Biden federal gun trial as his own daughter took the stand on his behalf. Naomi Biden testified about visiting her dad in rehab back in 2018, saying at the time he was sober and that she was, quote, hopeful. But later her testimony seemed to be weakened by some intense cross-examination. Meanwhile, as the prosecution rested their case today, the defense now expected to decide on their last witness over the weekend. And there is speculation that it might just be Hunter Biden himself. NBC White House correspondent Mike Mimley has more.
Hey, Morgan. So this fifth day of the Hunter Biden trial began with the prosecution resting their case after days in which they called 10 different witnesses trying to prove their case that Hunter Biden was deeply addicted to drugs and lied on a government forum when he purchased a handgun in October of 2018. Then the focus turned to the defense team. The focus really today was on the testimony from Naomi Biden, Hunter Biden's eldest daughter. The defense team hoped to really present the counter-argument here that Hunter Biden was on a path to recovery, his daughter testifying that when she spent time with him in the summer, months leading up to his purchase of that gun, that he was as clear as she had seen him in years since the death of her uncle, Beau Biden, that she was able to introduce her future husband to him. They had some good time together on the West Coast. Then months later, that she borrowed his car in New York, the car that's really in question here. That was where the gun was discovered. She said there were no signs of drug paraphernalia in that car. But under some very difficult cross-examination from the government prosecutors here, the case, as the New York Times puts it, crumbled. She was asked about contact from a man named Frankie that her father had. Frankie, we know from previous testimony, was a drug dealer who her father had been in contact with when in New York. There was long gaps in her contacts with her father when they were both in New York together. She was trying to get in touch with him. He ultimately responded in a text in the middle of the night. And so this really was a difficult moment in what has already been a difficult week for the family, where we had in past days seen during breaks the family upbeat, hugging each other, giving celebratory handshakes. Today, the mood was far more somber. We saw again today First Lady Jill Biden returning to the courtroom after flying to and from Paris. She's back there for the state dinner tomorrow. The big question now is, will Hunter Biden testify in his own defense? The defense team has indicated that that is a possibility. Abby Lowell, the defense attorney, said he does have one more witness that he will call on Monday. This after the jury was dismissed early on Friday. We'll see now as this case moves rapidly towards a conclusion. Morgan.
All right, Mike, thanks so much. And for all of us following this, we know there's no shortage of moving parts. So I want to bring in NBC News Now legal analyst Angela Cinnadella. Angela, you've been with us all week long. What do you make of Naomi Biden's testimony today? How could that go over with the jury, which, as we know, includes people who have family members currently struggling with addiction?
Right. Hey there, Morgan. So first of all, I think that Naomi's testimony first really started off very strong for the defense. So as you noted, the jury does include members who have family members who suffer from addiction. So as a result, you expect them to be rather sympathetic to people in Naomi Biden's position. So when Naomi started and she was testifying about how she did know that her father was struggling with addiction, yet when she did see him a couple months before the alleged incident of purchasing the gun and filling out these false forms, that it appeared that he was doing great, that he was on the mend, he was strong. And this was just very powerful. Unfortunately, though, as often testimony does, I do believe that it somewhat crumbled on cross, that when when the prosecution was up there and able to kind of almost ambush her with her own text messages, that when we get closer and closer to the date in question, October 12th, that just a few days later, it appeared that he was erratic and not able to meet her, responding at strange hours of the day. That really poked holes in her testimony. And I believe that that likely counteracted any movement that was made for the defense with what happened on direct, Morgan.
Okay, so back to the prosecution here. We know they also rested their case. So in your expert opinion here, how would you say they actually did in laying all of this out?
Morgan, I think the prosecution had a very strong case, and they really showed it. I actually think the final parts of their case really today were the strongest, which is often what happens because prosecutions tend to lead and end with their strongest pieces of evidence. And to me, it was really this forensic chemist, the FBI forensic chemist, who testified that he found and tested and confirmed that there was cocaine powder on the gun pouch. Now, if you take a look at all of what the defense has done, they've tried to say that this drug use may have happened, but the timing is off, that maybe it happened before or after this period in question. But given that he only had the gun for 11 days before Hallie Biden threw it in the trash, that period of time is most important. And hearing the chemist say that there was likely cocaine found on that, I think is somewhat dispositive and a real problem for the defense, Morgan.
So, Angela, of course, one of the biggest questions of all going into the weekend here, there is a little growing speculation that Hunter Biden himself might be taking the stand. Do you think in any realm that that is a good idea?
So because in this case, the defendant would be testifying to intent, I do think there is this small window of possibility where it could be helpful. So sometimes in, for example, cases where self-defense is the primary defense of a defendant and only that person can testify to their state of mind at that moment, they can testify and it can work in their favor. So there's this small window of possibility where Hunter could really explain that at that moment when he filled out that form, only he can tell what his mindset was. Only he could really say whether or not he believed he was an addict or not. But as we also know, whenever a defendant does take the stand, the real problem is not the direct examination, it's cross. So at that point, when the prosecutors do go up there and just bring up the avalanche of evidence that they have laid out throughout this case, not just testimony of his former loved ones, but also just the photos, the videos, the text messages, the cocaine on the pouch, it's unclear how he could properly defend himself on that stand. And then, of course, also he has other litigation against him. He has other criminal litigation. He has the whole tax fraud trial, which is supposed to happen in September. And as you know, anything you say in one trial can be used against you. So it would likely be heavily advised that he not testify, Morgan.
Yeah, keyword small window of opportunity there. Angela Cinnadella, thank you so much for breaking it all down. And while Hunter Biden's trial is underway in Biden's home state of Delaware, President Biden is in France, commemorating, of course, the 80th anniversary of D-Day, where the president delivered a second speech at Pointe-du-Hoc today, calling on Americans to recommit to democracy and reject isolationism. The speech already being compared to the one delivered by another president, Ronald Reagan, at that same cliff 40 years ago, back in 1984. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander explains.
Today, it's the beauty that overwhelms you, but 80 years ago, it was the bravery. Army Rangers defied danger, scaling these towering cliffs, knowing the Nazis were waiting.
One thought comes to mind. My God, how did they do it?
Atop one of the enemy bunkers those brave warriors captured, President Biden today invoked their memory, declaring a renewed mission for Americans.
They're not asking us to do their job. They're asking us to do our job, to protect freedom in our time, to defend democracy.
At the very spot where President Reagan immortalized the boys of Pointe du Hoc, President Biden today highlighted their service and the fight for freedom.
Does anyone doubt that they would want America to stand up against Putin's aggression here in Europe today? Does anyone believe these Rangers would want America to go it alone today?
Earlier, the president meeting Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, announcing a new military aid package and apologizing for Congress's delay in approving more American support.
I apologize for those weeks of not knowing what's going to happen in terms of funding.
The president drawing an election year contrast with former President Trump, who's argued Europe, not the U.S., should be spending more to help Ukraine.
We're probably in for $250 billion. You know, they just got $62 billion, and now I heard today that they need more money. It's going to never end.
But today, the commander-in-chief warned against isolationism and saluted 98-year-old John Wardell, then an 18-year-old Army Ranger from New Jersey who battled Hitler's forces here. Today, alongside the dignitaries in the front row.
John, we love you, man. Thank you for all you've done.
What does this place represent?
Well, it's a place in history, part of history here.
You were part of that history.
Well, I like to think I am a little part of it.
A part of one of history's most pivotal moments, where America's sons helped reclaim the continent and save the world.
The president's D-Day commemorations are now complete, but tomorrow President Biden will be welcomed here in Paris for a state visit, including a parade down the famed Champs-Élysées. And the major focus of his talks with the French president are likely to focus on the ongoing wars in Ukraine and Gaza. Back to you.
All right, Peter, thank you. And for a deeper dive, let's welcome presidential historian Lindsay Travinsky. Lindsay, I know your specialty is the Founding Fathers, but no need to look that far back tonight. I do want to start off, though, with a portion of President Reagan's 1984 speech and President Biden's speech today.
One's country is worth dying for, and democracy is worth dying for because it's the most deeply honorable form of government ever devised by man.
American democracy asks the hardest of things, to believe that we're part of something bigger than ourselves. So democracy begins with each of us. It begins when one person decides there's something more important than themselves.
So you hear both of those men speak. You can hear kind of the similar themes. I'm curious, how would you compare the two and the message that they're trying to send to Americans here?
Well, of course, President Reagan was one of, the all-time greatest public speakers and really had a unique gift for oratory. So I'm not sure anyone really can compare or will compare with him. There are very few people that will. But I would like to think that what President Biden is trying to do is to remind people that this idea of fighting for democracy used to be one that all Americans shared. And Reagan was speaking to those principles that I think really do go back to the founding generation, the idea that democracy can be fragile and it has to be fought for, and it has to be defended and protected by all those who care about it. And that is not a project that stops in the 1980s. And in fact, it continues today, and it's something that we really, I think, have to be mindful of.
Similar messages. Context is everything, though, Lindsay. We know that Ronald Reagan also gave that speech during a re-election year, just like President Biden. His approval rating in May of 1984, 53%. President Biden's approval rating in May of this year, 39%. So I'm curious, substantially different situations. What do you believe Reagan's goal was back then? And I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what do you assume President Biden's is with this speech?
Yeah, well, I think on one hand, we lived in very different worlds. Our partisan climate is quite different than it was when Reagan gave his speech. But in some ways, we are seeing very parallel circumstances. And of course, the other context with which Reagan was giving this speech was that it was the height of the Cold War. And he was speaking about the menace posed by a Soviet threat. And today, Biden is speaking about the menace posed by a Russian threat. And so while their political polling might look quite different, and they might be different as men, and the world we're living in sometimes feels different domestically, internationally, it's really the same idea. It's democracy against authoritarianism. And is the United States going to defend our democratic allies? Because we know that threats don't end at the water's edge. And if we don't fight those threats in Europe or wherever we find them, they will come to the United States.
Well said. Lindsay, always appreciate the historical context. Thanks so much.
Thanks
Don't
for
go
having
anywhere. We are just getting started tonight. Up next, we have new surveillance video of the moments leading up to that horrific stabbing of a 3-year-old at a grocery store. Plus, Chiefs player B.J. Thompson now awake and responsive after going into cardiac arrest during a team meeting. We have those details. And later this hour, a D-Day hero remembered. We'll tell you about the dangerous mission of one young man and how a tiny French town has immortalized his fight for freedom. That's all just ahead, so stay tuned. Welcome back. Here are some of the other headlines we are watching tonight. Kansas City Chiefs lineman B.J. Thompson recovering today after a frightening medical scare Thursday. The 25-year-old suffered a seizure during a team meeting and briefly went into cardiac arrest. Emergency crews had to use a defibrillator to shock and restart Thompson's heart, and he was later taken to a hospital where he was put on a ventilator overnight. But today, Chiefs now say Thompson is alert and awake. GameStop stock tumbled today. This after the company filed to sell millions of shares, and his quarterly results, well, they fell a bit flat. Keith Gill, known as Roaring Kitty, hosted a live stream where GameStop shares were actually halted. Gill was one of the traders who helped ignite that meme stock craze nearly 3 years ago. The stock fell about 40% as sales have dropped significantly. Kia is recalling almost 500,000 of their Telluride SUVs. They're now warning owners to park models from 2020 to 2024 outside because of a fire risk. A certain motor on those vehicles could overheat, and Kia tells NBC they are starting to fix the problem for drivers free of charge. The Supreme Court Justice's financial disclosures are out, and Justice Clarence Thomas is acknowledging just a few trips with a billionaire. He reported a 2019 trip to Bali with real estate mogul Harlan Crow. Meanwhile, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson received concert tickets worth $3,700 from Beyoncé herself. The annual reports do list things like outside earnings, assets, and gifts that the justices received. YouTube is cracking down on gun videos, putting in place some new rules and restrictions. The platform says it's updating its policy to keep underage users away from potentially dangerous content. That includes blocking videos showing automatic or homemade guns for users that are under 18 years old. The platform does, of course, have a pretty large community of so-called gunfluencers, often promoting firearms. Well, tonight we are getting a look at newly released surveillance video from Ohio of the moments leading up to a disturbing stabbing. The crime left a 3-year-old boy dead and his mother critically injured in what police believe was a random attack. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa explains.
Hey, Morgan. Yeah, this video is just so chilling to watch. It shows a woman who North Olmsted police say is Bianca Ellis walking through a grocery store in that town. It's near Cleveland on Monday, and you can see she's holding a knife. No one around her seems to notice. She seems unfazed until you see the person who's blurred with that shopping cart walking by. And that's when police point out Ellis basically turns on her heel, does a 180, and starts to follow them, still holding that knife. They say that person was Margot Wood and her 3-year-old son, Julian. They say Ellis didn't know the mom and toddler, but she followed them, still knife in hand, into the parking lot. And here's what investigators say happened next.
Spotted Mrs. Wood and her son, and then proceeded to follow them out to the parking lot. And somewhere near their vehicle, Miss Ellis then attacked the two of them. The young child suffered 2 stab wounds, one to the face and one to the back, and then she has suffered one to her shoulder area.
And investigators say 3-year-old Julian died from his injuries. His mom, Margot, survived the attack, now having to live with this reality that police say this completely random attack by a stranger took the life of her child, something the entire community is kind of struggling to understand as well at this point. For her part, Ellis has been indicted by a grand jury on 10 counts, including aggravated murder. She's being held on $1 million bond and is set to be arraigned on Monday. Meanwhile, Julian's funeral is set for Saturday. Morgan?
All right, Maggie Vespa, thanks so much. Former President Trump's White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows was in court today in Arizona, and he pled not guilty to criminal charges related to his alleged attempt to overturn the 2020 election in that state. NBC News correspondent Von Hilliard breaks it all down.
Hey, Morgan, that's right. The former chief of staff to Donald Trump at the end of his tenure in the White House, Mark Meadows, pleading not guilty today. He was one of 18 co-defendants stemming from this indictment that came down from the Arizona Attorney General in April. He's facing 9 counts of conspiracy and fraud and forgery stemming from the alleged alternate elector scheme to send Trump electors to Washington, D.C. to be counted on January 6, 2021, not Joe Biden electors, despite Joe Biden winning the state by more than 11,000 votes. Mark Meadows not the only one here pleading not guilty today, but also Mike Roman, who is Election Day director for the Trump campaign in 2020. He also pled not guilty as part of a virtual arraignment today. We are still waiting for 3 other individuals to go through their arraignment, and each of these individuals must submit through the mugshot and fingerprinting process formally here in Maricopa County. If, in fact, each of these individuals plead not guilty, we could see this process and a potential criminal trial for these 18 co-defendants move forward. Donald Trump was not among those defendants here in the state of Arizona as part of this alleged scheme. Morgan?
All right, Von, big thanks. And coming up, Paris getting ready for the Olympics, decking out the Eiffel Tower in a pretty special way. We'll show you the latest. Welcome back. Let's take a quick look around the world now. Amanda Knox calling herself a victim of injustice after an Italian court upheld her slander conviction. Yesterday, Knox was found guilty of falsely claiming a man killed her roommate Meredith Kircher back in 2007. But she will not go to prison because she previously served 4 years for the murder before she was acquitted back in 2015. But says she still plans to appeal the slander conviction in order to clear her name. In Papua New Guinea, rescue efforts are ending 2 weeks after a horrific mountain collapse in a remote village. The UN says the landslide killed about 670 people. Local officials put the number at more than 2,000. Officials say another landslide could happen in the area, and the ground is not yet stable enough to continue searches. Paris getting a little more of the Olympic spirit thanks to a new display at the Eiffel Tower. 5 colorful Olympic rings were mounted to the iconic landmark this morning. Take a look. There they are. The rings are made out of recycled steel. Took 4 cranes, 30 workers to raise up that display. Of course, the games begin on July 26th. And it turns out that China's highest natural waterfall, well, it's not so natural after all. Get this, Yuntai Mountain, the popular 1,000-foot tourist attraction, went viral after a hiker found a pipe that supplies water into its base. The people who run the site admitted they made just a few enhancements to the waterfall after the hiker posted that discovery. There was no mention of the pipe, by the way, on the waterfall's website or on social media. To the Middle East now, where much has been said about alleged human rights violations in the conflict in Gaza. Today, the Israeli military has been added to the UN's so-called list of shame countries that harm children inside war zones. NBC's international correspondent Raf Sanchez on that new designation and Israel's response.
Hey there. The Israeli government says it has been informed by the Secretary General of the United Nations that he plans to add Israel to a so-called blacklist of states that harm children during wartime. This is not a list that anyone wants to be on. It means Israel would be joining Russia as well as non-state actors like Al-Qaeda accused of harming kids during wartime. 8 months into the war in Gaza, thousands of children have been killed in the fighting. Israel says it takes all steps to minimize civilian casualties. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today slamming that decision by the United Nations, saying the UN put itself on the blacklist of history today when it joins the supporters of the Hamas murderers. The IDF is the most moral army in the world, and no delusional decision by the UN will change that. Now, this decision was a long time in the making, but by grim coincidence, it comes just one day after Israel bombed that UN school in central Gaza. Israel says it was targeting a number of Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad operatives who were sheltering inside of the school. But these schools have long been a refuge for Palestinian families seeking safety during this war. And hospital officials tell us at least 14 children were killed in the attack. Now, this is just adding to tension as it's confirmed that Prime Minister Netanyahu will be addressing a joint session of Congress towards the end of July. Some Democrats, including Senator Bernie Sanders, have said that they will boycott that address. Sanders calling the Israeli leader a war criminal, an allegation that Netanyahu, of course, denies. We are also learning that an American military temporary pier off the coast of Gaza will soon be operational once again. It went offline after being damaged in bad weather, which is a major blow to the humanitarian effort, especially at a time when the Rafah crossing, the main lifeline for food and aid from Egypt, remains closed. Back to you.
Still to come, a YouTuber charged with one crazy stunt where fireworks were shot out of a helicopter at a Lamborghini. No, really. Those details are next, so stay tuned. And welcome back. Here's some of the stories happening out west that we're following right now. The pilot aboard a small plane died after crashing into the roof of a building in Washington state. Officials say he had just taken off yesterday from an airport in Auburn, just outside Seattle, and was in the air for less than an hour. Federal authorities are investigating what caused the crash. No one else was hurt. A judge has thrown out a number of state charges against Paul Pelosi's attacker, including attempted murder. David DePape was convicted and sentenced for similar crimes in federal court last month. And for his state trial, his lawyers argue that he should not be charged twice for the same acts, saying that would amount to essentially double jeopardy. And a YouTuber known as Alex Choi is facing federal charges for a wild video game-like stunt where fireworks were shot at his Lamborghini from, get this, a flying helicopter. Federal officials say Choi did not get approval from the FAA to film the video last year in California, nor did he have an explosives license or permit. Court records show Choi was released on a $50,000 bond on Thursday, and he is scheduled to be arraigned come later next month. Some breaking news tonight in the ongoing legal saga involving disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein. Today, his legal team filed an appeal to overturn a rape and sexual assault conviction here in California. And this comes just weeks after his rape conviction was overturned in New York. NBC News correspondent Chloe Malas with that story.
Hey there. Harvey Weinstein's legal team has filed to appeal his Los Angeles rape and sexual assault convictions from his 2022 trial. These court documents, they were obtained exclusively by NBC News on Friday, and it was filed with the Second District Court of Appeals. And I just want to read to you a statement that we received from Harvey Weinstein's publicist, Judah Engelmeyer. It states that Harvey Weinstein was tried by a system devoted to getting him at all costs. This appeal demonstrates nearly a dozen areas of brazen legal missteps that violated his right to a fair trial. And it goes on to say that we know he has a solid case here. I actually just moments ago spoke to Weinstein's criminal defense attorney, Jennifer Bonjean, and she says that she truly does believe that one day he's going to walk a free man. And so how could that happen? Well, just a few weeks ago, his New York criminal charges, that was overturned. His conviction, it was completely overturned by the New York Court of Appeals. And so who's actually in jail in Rikers Island right now, waiting for potentially a new trial in New York. Now, the district attorney, Alvin Bragg in New York, has said that he does intend to retry Harvey Weinstein, so we could potentially see that new trial in the fall. Then he would be extradited to Los Angeles, where he faces that 16-year prison sentence. But again, his legal team believes that he's going to get a new trial in Los Angeles. But as we saw in New York, it can take years to try to appeal or overturn a conviction. Back to you.
We'll be watching. Chloe, thank you. A new jobs report is out, and the question now is, how much light will it be shedding on the U.S. economy? NBC's business and data correspondent Brian Chung breaks down all of the numbers for us tonight. Brian?
Hey there. Well, this jobs market is firing on all cylinders, and that is because 272,000 jobs added in the month of May. That was well above what economists had expected for this month. They only expected about this much, 190,000. So this is about pace with what we saw in the month of March and faster than the pace of job gains we saw in the month of April. Now, where did we see the job gains in the month? They came from basically all corners of this economy. When you look at healthcare adding over 68,000 jobs in the month, government and construction jobs adding 43,000 and 21,000 jobs respectively, and leisure and hospitality, bars and restaurants, which have been driving a lot of the post-pandemic gains, adding 42,000 jobs in the month. Now, a lot of attention was paid on the unemployment rate, which did tick up to 4%. But if we zoom out, this is what the unemployment rate chart looks like. So yeah, 4%. We haven't seen a 4 on that number since January of 2022. But you can see historically this remains low and substantially lower than the peak of employment when COVID shut down large parts of the economy and led to unemployment rate of 15%. And by the way, it is the 30th straight month of the unemployment rate at 4% or lower. The last time you've seen a streak that long, the late 1960s. Now, one final point I want to make here is that really this strong jobs number doesn't really change the game for the Federal Reserve, which has held interest rates high, because the big story for them is inflation, inflation, inflation. Right now, the measure on how much more expensive things are getting in this country, 3.4%. They want to see that get somewhere closer to 2%. But the good news from this report, wages 4.1% year over year. That is faster than the pace of inflation. People's income is growing faster than the price tags at the store. The Federal Reserve, though, still likely to hold interest rates steady in their next meeting on Wednesday. Back to you.
All right, some good news. We'll take it, Brian. Thank you. Hey, have you heard of Bentonville, Arkansas? If not, you soon will, as the hometown of Walmart is absolutely booming, believe it or not. City's population on its way to doubling in barely a decade. But as all the newcomers flood into this quiet corner of Arkansas, prices for just about everything, they keep going up. CNBC retail reporter Melissa Repko explains.
I thought never in a million years would I move to Arkansas.
Tracy Robinson lived in New York, Washington, D.C., and Miami before moving to Bentonville in 2022 for a job at Walmart headquarters.
I had this vision of a really poor rural community and maybe a little backwards and a little conservative.
Instead, Tracy found a boom town trying to maintain its small town feel while providing big city amenities. The population exploded from 36,000 in 2010 to 58,000 in 2022, with expectations of 200,000 by 2050. That explains why Bentonville has more cranes per capita than any other U.S. city, according to Cushman & Wakefield Sage Partners.
Every time I go to town now, there's new construction.
Gil and Sue Curran moved here in 1971. The population was about 6,000, and Walmart was in its infancy. Now it's building a new 350-acre headquarters.
I don't believe anybody had the vision that it's going to take over the world.
Walmart drawing its vendors to open offices here. And with the area's population growing by 36 people per day, housing, restaurants, hotels, museums, and even a medical school are being built.
All the people that were coming into town were not from here.
Chef Matthew Cooper owns Conifer, one of a number of high-end restaurants in downtown Bentonville. The dishes and prices rival something you'd expect to find in New York or San Francisco.
They were from places where those prices were already prevalent. And so it really hasn't been that much of a fight.
But Bentonville's boom also brings its challenges. A shortage of housing, for instance, is pricing many people out of the market.
10 years ago, we had 14 homes that sold over $1 million. Last year, 2023, we had 244. We don't have $150,000 homes that market is obsolete.
There's always going to be unintended consequences of growth. But on the positive side, and what this has been able to bring to people's property values, what it brings in terms of amenities, the education system we have here, it's far beyond any of the negatives.
Hey, before we go, we're protecting our waters on World Ocean Day. And since the ocean contributes $400 billion to the U.S. economy every single year, the White House also hopping on board with a new initiative. That's next, so stay tuned. Welcome back. Close calls near school crosswalks are pretty common in San Francisco, but it's not the drivers who are causing problems. It's cars without any drivers whatsoever. NBC Bay Area's Gadi has that story.
Have a good evening.
School crossing guard Teresa Dorn has spent 11 years keeping kids and their families out of harm's way.
Hi, how are you?
But nowadays, distracted drivers aren't her main concern. It's cars with no driver at all.
I just don't think it's very safe.
California remains one of the country's largest testing grounds for self-driving vehicles. But Dorn says driverless cars, operated by Google's sister company Waymo, nearly ran into her and others 3 separate times.
The parent grabbed the child, looked at the car, and there was nobody driving it.
It almost hit you?
Yes. It did not recognize me in the intersection.
Even though you were standing in it with your stop sign?
Yes.
We spoke to 30 crossing guards stationed at more than 20 schools across San Francisco. Nearly 1 out of every 4 told us they experienced some type of close call in the crosswalk with a Waymo driverless car within the past year, though they couldn't remember exact dates, nor did they file police reports.
Waymo said without specific details, it can't tell us what its vehicles did or why, and declined our interview request.
But in a statement, Waymo told us, while we're proud of our safety record, we also recognize the importance of ensuring that other road users feel confident and comfortable around our technology.
Is there a lack of oversight here?
I think what you have is well-intentioned action, but it's just not comprehensive enough.
California Congressman Kevin Mullen wants the Department of Transportation to force driverless car companies to reveal how often their vehicles are involved in a near miss. Currently, they only have to disclose details on actual collisions.
What's available now isn't really telling the whole story.
That's right.
So we obtained all driverless car complaints submitted to the California DMV last year. Of the more than 200, roughly 30% detailed safety concerns in crosswalks. Of those, about 1 in 5 complaints involved Waymo. The bulk of the rest, GM's Cruise, which is still working to get back on the road after safety issues pushed the company to pause its entire fleet of driverless cars last October. Cruise declined our interview request, but said safety is a critical priority and added it investigates concerns.
These are complaints coming from different people, sharing some pretty eerily similar safety concerns. Does that worry you?
It absolutely worries me. Those kinds of incidents where people's lives are put at risk, but it's not reportable now. We need to be looking at those.
Teresa Dorn says she's already seen the hazards, headed straight towards the kids she's protecting.
Do you worry one of the children that you see could get hurt?
Yes. My main concern is that they get to school safely and that they go back home safely. Have a good afternoon.
Bigat Shaban, NBC News, San Francisco.
Here in the United States, purchasing an iPhone is usually done at the Apple Store. But in China, people are purchasing the popular device in an entirely different way. CNBC's Beijing Bureau Chief Eunice Yoon breaks it all down.
Anyone in China whose livelihood depends on demand of Apple products is well aware of this electronics market called Huatianbei.
The mall sits in Shenzhen, near the border with the city of Hong Kong. This marketplace has long been a barometer of iPhone demand. For years, many gray market sellers have sourced Apple's newest product releases from Hong Kong and found ways to have them carried across the border to be sold here all over China, where the iPhone traditionally fetches higher prices.
Vendors tell us that nearly all of the Apple products on this floor are brought in from Hong Kong. Upstairs is where distributors from the rest of China sell their excess inventory.
The sellers here tell us the China China market has become more challenging for the iPhone. Jeff Jiang has been selling them on the gray market for 17 years. His sales have dropped in half with the iPhone 15. It's because consumers are downgrading, he says. More people feel it's harder to earn money, so they don't want to spend so much on phones. He says in the past year, 40% of his customers switched from iPhones to new Huawei devices, which have upgraded technology, stoking a belief the phones have stronger signal than iPhones and speeds close to 5G. People feel more patriotic. A lot of customers bought the new Huawei phone to support domestic brands, he says. Jiang feels the Chinese smartphone makers are providing services and apps that are better tailored to a Chinese audience, especially with the emergence of AI. His suggestion for Tim Cook? I'd advise him to make iPhones more Chinese, he says. Eunice Yoon, NBC News, Shenzhen.
And today marks a special occasion for 70% of the entire world. We're talking about World Ocean Day. The annual tradition started back in 1992, and this year's theme, catalyzing action for our ocean and our climate. Today, the UN hosted a meeting to discuss its commitment to protect our planet's precious waters and all of the life it sustains. And with more on that, we welcome wildlife expert, biologist, and co-founder of Fantasticus Pictures, Forrest Galante, to talk all things ocean. So, Forrest, thanks for being with us this evening. This year's Ocean Day action theme, all about creating meaningful action here. So what can you tell us about what they presented at the UN?
Yeah, you know, I think what they presented really isn't much at this point, Morgan. It's just discussing how to rework our relationship to the ocean, which urgently needs to change. You know, I don't want to be preachy, but basically our efforts have only just skimmed the surface to date as to the amount of effect that we're having on the ocean. And it's a very consumptive way that we look at the ocean, right? It's take as much as we can from it. And we've reached a critical capacity to be able to do that. So if we don't change our relationship with the ocean and don't have some sort of widespread movement for that, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, we definitely need to dig beneath the surface there. Forrest, it looks like the White House also joining in on this conservation effort. Earlier this week, they announced the first ever National Ocean Biodiversity Strategy to protect the, give or take, $400 billion the ocean contributes to the U.S. economy. So what can you tell us about this initiative? Will it actually do more than skim the surface?
You know, I think it will if it's passed through and it's handled correctly. Ocean conservation is such a critical thing, as I just mentioned. And I think that the way the White House is looking at it is in a sustainable way, right? So they have 3 points that they're discussing. One is achieving a sustainable ocean economy. 2 is protecting and restoring ocean life, which is great because that's going to lead to ongoing ability to harvest from the ocean. And 3 is using modern technology like eDNA, environmental DNA, to study ocean life, which makes it so much easier than the old school method of observational analysis. So it's a really good movement. It's something we should all support. And it's fantastic the White House is taking conservation seriously.
Yeah, the tech's certainly come a long way, right? And as we celebrate this important part of our environment, and as summer's kicking off here, what can we do at home if we're trying to clean up our oceans as best we can?
That's a great question, Morgan. I mean, the obvious things are, you know, don't throw a plastic bag in the ocean, don't you recycle and things like that. But there are other choices that we can make. Overfishing is a massive problem. Choosing sustainably sourced fish options make a huge difference. There's an organization called Seafood Watch that's a very trusted and highly recommended organization that allows you to look at what seafood is a good sustainable choice. So little things like that, you know, picking the right fish to eat and making sure you're recycling and not releasing balloons into the atmosphere, which most of the time end up in the ocean or eaten by sea turtles. Little things like that make a huge difference when compounded on a big scale.
Yeah, those little things can absolutely add up. And lastly, stay with us here. Staying in the water world, I know we got an update on Charlotte the Stingray. So for everyone out there wondering, what can you tell us about her one-of-a-kind pregnancy here?
Well, Gadi's going to be so disappointed. He was so excited by this story. But Charlotte is no longer pregnant. Sadly, she developed a rare reproductive disease that has negatively impacted her reproductive system. And so there's a team of veterinarians and specialists working on treatment. But the good news is Charlotte is healthy. She hasn't lost her appetite. She's still eating a lot, but she did lose that mystery embryo that she had in there that Gadi was so excited about.
All right, keeping us posted on all things aquatic for us. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
As we celebrate the 80th anniversary of D-Day, not too far from Normandy's beaches, another memorial immortalizes an American soldier's heroism. In the nearby village of Sainte-Mère-Église, there is a church that looks almost exactly as it did back in 1944. And hanging from its steeple, there it is, a monument in the form of an American paratrooper, Private John Martin Steele. In D-Day's wee hours, Steele's mission was as dangerous as they come: parachute into enemy territory. The first problem, an inexperienced pilot dropped his unit off too early. The second, Steele's approach hit a snag, literally stopping short when his chute stuck on the church steeple. The 31-year-old could only watch as German soldiers fired upon American paratroopers. That's when Steele, wounded himself, decided to play dead. He was finally cut down by German soldiers and taken prisoner. But days later, Steele escaped, rejoining his division to help capture Sainte-Mère-Église, the first French town liberated by Allied forces. There it is. Years later, Hollywood turned his story into the blockbuster movie The Longest Day. Steele passed away just a few years later at age 56 from cancer, but not before a trip back to the small French village who never forgot. June 6th, 1944. You visit Sainte-Mère-Église today, and after stopping by that church still marked by bullet holes, you can enjoy a very fine meal at Auberge John Steele. That's right, a restaurant named for the village's adopted native son. To Private Steele and the more than 150,000 troops who took part in D-Day, thank you. That does it for us tonight. I'm Morgan Chesky. We'll see you Monday, but until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.